21 hackathons, that's incredible. How do you have all the time to do all these hackathons?
The way I would make time for that is time blocking.
How long do you sleep during those 24 hours?
For every single hackathon, I would usually get 0 to 2 hours of sleep.
Is it easier to cheat in hackathons with all of these tools in 2025? How much money did you win from these hackathons?
About.
Hi friends, welcome to the channel. For those of you new here, I'm Maddie and I'm a senior software engineer and I talk about software engineering career advice, memes, and vlogs. Today I have a very special guest on the channel, Gia.
Hi.
We will be talking about how she won 21 hackathons and how she dropped out of school and rejected multiple internships to start her own startup. So it's gonna be super, super fun to learn all your insights because you have a crazy, crazy story.
Yeah, thank you for having me on here.
I feel like most of my audience is probably familiar with what a hackathon is, but for those of them who are new, can you kind of briefly explain what a hackathon is?
Yeah, so a hackathon is a 24-hour to 48-hour coding or building competition in which participants have to develop an application from 0 to 1 based on a prompt from the competition, as in like build an app for healthcare, build an app for education, and yeah, basically you scrape together an application from 0 to 1, and I think that's the exciting part of it.
Cool. Honestly, one of my regrets from college is that I didn't do that many hackathons. I did like 4 total. I didn't win any of them, so you know, definitely just in awe of Gia right now. But hackathons I think are a great way to learn new technologies, meet people, you can get like company interviews and sponsors as well.
Yeah, internships as well.
Internships, yeah. So you know, that could be a really useful technique for students who are looking for internships, who are looking to network and things like that. 21 hackathons, that's incredible. How do you have all the time to do all these hackathons for starters?
Yeah, so back when I was in university running all these hackathons, I would be going to one every single weekend. And the way I would make time for that is I would do time blocking. So to maintain my grades, I would make sure I set specific times in my day where I would focus on schoolwork. For example, like 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. every day, I would be in a certain location doing a certain task. And then by the time it got to the weekend, I would make sure I was doing no homework during the span of the hackathon and I was able to focus fully.
Wow, that's incredible. I myself use time blocking, but clearly not as effectively as you. Setting aside time for hackathons is one thing, but actually winning all those hackathons is another. Do you have like a special technique or special tips that you would give to people who do want to win as many hackathons as you have?
Yes, I actually do. So for hackathons, there are many aspects of a hackathon where there are rules and there's also areas in which you can actually prepare before a hackathon. So you're not allowed to build before the hackathon, but you're able to, first of all, see all the tracks that the hackathon offers, see what tools are out there, as in like tools that are just generally being developed and like cutting edge tools, and also the sponsors of the hackathon itself. So when you know these facts, you can put together like a document of your observations. And what I would do is I'd have like maybe a 1-page, 2-page document where I laid out all my ideas for the hackathon, as well as saw and put it into context of that unique hackathon itself.
Oh, so you do like a separate doc per hackathon, don't you?
Yes, a separate doc per hackathon. So 0 coding before the hackathon, and I would just extrapolate everything and make sure I was prepared in every other way except for building. So like maxing out the amount of preparation I would have to do. Grab links from the APIs, pull up documentation, look at open source GitHub repositories, and just sort of put everything in the document and analyze what ideas were feasible with the current tools that were out there, and how well it fit into the prompt of the hackathon itself.
Wow, I'm just curious, do you have a way to automate or use AI to help you, you know, scrape the links or like come up with ideas, or do you do it like just all manually?
While I was competing, I just did it all manually, but these days I would actually recommend using AI. So yeah, Perplexity would be a great way, deep research, all of those tools. If I were competing in hackathons nowadays, I would definitely utilize AI.
So you mentioned that hackathons are typically 24 hours and you have to get like a, you know, a demoable product in the end to show the judges. How long do people usually sleep and how long do you sleep during those 24 hours?
So people usually sleep, I'd say maybe 5 to 6 hours during hackathons. But for every single hackathon, I would usually get 0 to 2 hours of sleep.
Oh my God. How do you survive? Do you drink coffee?
No, I didn't drink any coffee or energy drinks.
How?
I think it was sheer will. I had this whole system where I needed to win money in order to get to the next hackathon. So it was incentive for me to win a hackathon, and that's how I kept my win rate up.
So to be honest, I didn't drink much caffeine when I was in college, but now that I'm in a corporate job, I feel like I got just addicted because there's like free coffee and like free tea all around. So now I don't have like 2 or 3 cups of caffeine, I'm dead. So you can probably, I don't know if you can tell, I'm pretty dead right now because I haven't had my caffeine today. So maybe I should learn from Gia and definitely go cold turkey and figure it out. Go back to my college days when I was, energetic and happy. It's incredible that you were able to fund your hackathon journey by winning previous hackathons. If you don't mind me asking, like, how much money did you win from these hackathons?
Ooh, about 20K.
Wow, that's incredible. Are hackathons all the same amount of prize money, or does it depend on the hackathon?
Depends on the hackathon. So some notable prizes were like $4,500, like grand prize for one hackathon, $1,500, like 2K. Or some prizes were only like $500 or $200, but just a variety of prizes.
Wow, and I'm just curious, I know hackathons happen all over the country and some are virtual, some are in person. Mm-hmm. For the in-person ones, do you have to pay your own plane ticket and like accommodation, or are there like applications or grants that can help you with that?
Yeah, there's a few applications and grants. So if you were exploring hackathons, you can go down to the website, scroll all the way down, there's usually an FAQ section for every hackathon. Mm-hmm. There's like a standard that they follow when they're like a major league hacking hackathon. But you scroll down and it'll say travel reimbursement, and they usually state how much they travel reimburse and like have an email where you can contact them. So before I like planned out my hackathon season, I would just like email these hackathon organizers for travel reimbursements. There's also EZA. So EZA is this organization that provides like $500 travel grants to like hackathons all across internationally, actually. So yeah, you can apply through that. And yeah, that's how I was able to fund hackathons and just travel the next ones with my winnings.
That's incredible. Do you have a way of prioritizing which hackathons you want to do? Is it ones you think that give better funding, or ones you think you might win more easily, or how do you kind of, because I'm sure you only have, you do 21 hackathons, so there must be more than 21 hackathons in the world.
Yeah. So I would look for the most interesting prompts. So Hack Princeton had a pretty interesting crypto prompt, and UPenn had a pretty interesting pretty interesting sponsor tools like Cerebras. So I would choose the hackathons. Also, like, I think in the general computer science community, people like hype up certain hackathons, and so I would go to the hype hackathons when there's like tons of participants. Seems like there'd be the best like opportunities to meet friends.
Friends.
Yeah, just the brightest people at these hackathons. So it would be mostly about the people, the prompts, and just the sponsors that were there.
Nice. So as a hackathon veteran, if you had to give one piece of advice to someone who's just starting out their hackathon journey in 2025, what would it be?
A piece of advice that I would give is let passion override self-doubt. In computer science in general, or like a technical field, there's just so much imposter syndrome where you feel like you don't have the right skills in order to create these projects from 0 to 1, and it seems very daunting. But sometimes, like when you really just love something or you're excited about it, it just overrides that self-doubt. And so you're able to just delve into the hackathon without worrying as much about if you're enough for it, if you're enough for your teammates. And that sort of like momentum helps you push through and just attend the hackathon.
That's incredible. You mentioned teammates. Do you usually hack solo, or do you usually hack with a team?
I did a good number of hackathons solo, but I would also explore serendipity and try like a new team every hackathon.
Oh, so if you are a former team with people in a previous hackathon, you never work with them again the next hackathon?
I had like repeat teammates, I think maybe 2 or 3 hackathons. Shout out Bill Zhang. But yeah, I would mostly, it really depended on the hackathon, so I would try and find the right teammates based on the idea that I was trying to pursue for that hackathon.
Nice. How do you find teammates in hackathons? Is there like a social group or like what do kids use these days? Not Facebook, like Instagram. How do you find hackathon teammates?
Yeah, so for finding hackathon teammates, usually there's a Discord or Slack channel. So I would hop on these Discord servers. Everyone's like, oh, I'm introducing themselves to find teammates. So I would look through the introductions. And one particular thing that I would do is I would actually disregard credentials. Oh. So whether like if they listed whatever big tech company, or if they're a researcher or anything, or school, I would disregard that and look directly at their GitHubs and see what projects they built, And I also text them and ask like specific questions as to gauge their energy for the hackathon. So I could sort of see how much they wanted to win, what kind of energy they would contribute to the team, because it is a small team and there is a very big impact actually if there's one team member who's like a little bit less passionate, and the morale of the team is really can really be influenced by either you or some other teammates. So for hackathons, honestly, it was maybe less about skill, but more if you could outlast your competitors and actually build something that worked in the demo. I would focus in and hone in on those traits to see if they would actually build and what kind of energy they would bring.
That's a really good point. Yeah, I feel like having good teammates definitely can really make or break a hackathon experience. So I was a student a couple of years ago, but I know in 2025, with the advent of AI and like vibe coding and ChatGPT and everything, the hackathon space looks a lot different from when I was in it. So would you still recommend students to do hackathons in 2025 and why?
I still recommend students to do hackathons in 2025. Yeah, especially now. Anyone is able to build even quicker, even more aligned with their vision than they have been before. There's like vibe coding tools like Cursor, Windsurf, and other open source repositories, as well as new protocols like MCP, Model Context Protocol. So you're now able to really build out things that you visualize in your head. The barrier to entry is becoming even lower. So I would definitely say that you should full send on going to hackathons.
Nice. I know in the software engineering space with vibe coding and with AI agents, it's easier to cheat in things like interviews. I'm curious, is it easier to cheat if you know about it in hackathons with all of these tools in 2025?
I would say for cheating in hackathons is like using previous code. Yeah, building before the hackathon. But if everyone like starts at the same point in time, uses the same tools, it's a bit different. Like I think now vibe coding is been integrated into software engineering in general, so it's also integrated into hackathons.
I see. Makes sense. When's the last time you did a hackathon?
Yeah, the last time I did a hackathon was 7 months ago. UMitch's hackathon. Yeah, ended on a good note.
What have you been up to since then?
So since then, dropped out of school, started a company, raised 6 figures, and made 5 figures. Then starting a new company now when we just got our term sheet.
Okay, that is so incredibly impressive in such a short amount of time. Let's like wind back a bit. So you mentioned that you dropped out of school and started a startup with 6 figures, right? How did you have this initial startup idea, and when did you know it was time for you to drop out of school?
Yeah, so I had the initial startup idea in the fall, this last school year, and oddly enough, I just shipped the MVP out to Instagram, and it got a lot of traction there, and I released it on LinkedIn as well, and then it got just amazing traction there. I think maybe 200K views. And so then that's sort of like what funneled the initial users and interest from like venture capitalists in.
And what exactly was the startup?
The startup was an event management platform, but like powered by AI. So managing hackathons, managing other events, and like easily deployable events, all with like one click of a button with AI.
That really feels like it like speaks to your strength in hackathons.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And when did you know it was time to like drop out and focus on that?
I knew it was time to drop out when I started getting job offers actually. I was considering dropping out for the startup, but I was still worried about job security or like what happened if the startup didn't work out. But then I started receiving like 200K job offers.
Wow.
So that was when I convinced my Asian parents to let me drop out, because my dad was like, oh, the point of school is to get a job, but if you already have jobs, then you can, just do what you want.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, I feel like, and also no one really cares, like, as long as you get your first job, if you don't have an official degree, and like obviously you have very good reasons for dropping out, it's no one cares.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I know that it can be hard to raise funding, and you raised 6 figures in, like you said, 7 months, less than 7 months?
In 3 weeks.
Okay, hold on. Okay, you raised 6 figures in 3 weeks.
Yes.
How did you do that? Was it mostly angel investors? Like, how did you pitch yourself? Like, any advice for aspiring startup founders out there?
Yes. So I think one philosophy I have is if you want it badly enough, you'll get it. And that's what made me take a lot of very scrappy actions when I started my first company. And that was when I first like arrived to Silicon Valley. And I basically attended a bunch of Luma events. Luma is like this event platform where you can just, like, it's sort of like Eventbrite, but you can just attend random events in SF. And so I landed my first angel investment at a hot pot. I was just yapping about the startup, and the San Francisco angels, I guess, just were like, wow, you have hustle. Like, people can sort of see your energy and how badly you want something, or how badly you want to make your vision come to life. And that's when I think the law of attraction happens, and they start I started landing those investments. Went to another Luma event, met a venture capitalist there, and they put in the first like official institutional check.
Wow.
And the rest was honestly through Twitter. So I would just post my angel investments on Twitter. More angels would see that, they would ape in, and
that's like a great positive feedback cycle. That's amazing. You say ape it?
Nice.
Wow, yeah, that's so incredibly impressive. You mentioned that you're from Michigan and now you're in Silicon Valley building your startup. Had you lived in San Francisco or Silicon Valley before, and did you experience any culture shocks when you first moved here?
Yeah. So I only went to Silicon Valley maybe twice before for short periods of time. And the culture shock, it was interesting. I think a lot more people are open-minded here. And a lot more people are have a big risk appetite, both the venture capitalists here and also the entrepreneurs themselves. When I was back in my hometown, if I had like a crazy idea, a lot of my peers would be like, oh, that's not very feasible. You know, you should probably focus more on something more stable. But versus here, if I tell any of my friends about an idea, they're like, oh yeah, and then go bigger. Nice. So that was certainly great, because it increased like my own bravery and just notion to dream bigger.
Yeah, I feel like there's like definitely a very big hacking culture in San Francisco, and people kind of build off of each other's ideas and like encourage each other, and just like it's a great community for sure.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you had a lot of job offers come in. Did you also have like internship offers from companies who thought that you might want to stay in school?
Yeah. I had 2 software engineering internship offers, one from Disney and one from Intuit. And oddly enough, Disney was my dream company.
Oh. Why was it your dream company, and what convinced you that it is worth giving up on your dream company to continue your startup?
Yeah, good question. It was my dream company. I just had so many good memories from the parks. I also loved like the intersection between a creative space and also and a technical space. So I was supposed to be in Glendale in the animation studio helping make the movies.
That'd be so fun.
And that was the dream. But what I realized is that I wanted to be more of a decision maker in whatever I was doing. So whether it's like a good or bad thing that I sort of have tunnel vision, I sort of just looked at my goals for the next 5 to 10 years and realized that I want to dedicate all my time and go all in on being in a position where I could have more agency to learn those things, to get to those goals.
Yeah.
So,
I feel you can always, if you want to, you can always work for Disney later in life, right? Like,
Yeah,
but now it's like
yeah,
you have
yeah.
the momentum, you have the funding, you have the crack. You'll always be cracked, but you have, she is so cracked. You have no idea, guys.
No, you're cracked.
Absolutely not. Don't look at my GitHub, please. Anyway, yeah. So I think there's always pros and cons, and like, you know, opportunity cost for doing specific things. But you seem like you've really obviously given this a lot of thought and decided this is the best for you at your point in your life. Well, yeah, thank you so much for chatting with us today, Gia. These insights were so amazing, and I hope that you might inspire other people to, you know, start their own startups or win a bunch of hackathons. If you have other questions for Gia, either leave them in the comments below. Follow her on Instagram, LinkedIn, and X. She posts a lot of really cool hackathon and startup and career advice. Thank you so much for being on the channel. It was so good to talk to you. Bye.
Bye.
All right, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.